Hello! In this tutorial, we'll try to simulate candlelight, using Ffx. This tutorial is a simple one. We'll start by modeling a candle. I think everybody knows to model a simple candle, so I'll put the modeling part on fast forward. Anyway, you have to search the net for reference images. I have some references from TurboSquid. I've downloaded also real pictures. If we concentrate on the flame, we see although it may seem an easy task to simulate it in Ffx, it's pretty hard to make it look so full, so dense. If you want a very realistic candlelight, you may need to render the flame in a separate pass and give it more consistency in After Effects. I'll start the candle modeling from a cylinder. I'll use simple modeling techniques such as extrusion, bevel, soft selection, vertex and polygon manipulation. I'll try to add some randomness, even if it will look in some way stylized and cartoonish. In the end, I'll add some modifiers, like bend, taper, relax and twist. I'll also add optimize modifier, and mesh smooth to give it a finished look. After we'll add the melted wax and the wire, it's all done. For texturing I'll use Final Render Wax material, and Final Render Wet shader for the melted wax. Also I'll use a gradient map for the wire to make it look incandescent. Now let's proceed to the Ffx part. Select the Create tab and choose Helpers. From the drop-down list choose Ffx. Add an object source helper to the scene. Select Geometry. From the drop-down list choose Ffx. Drag in the perspective view to create a Ffx grid. Center the grid to the wire, so the flame will stay inside the grid. Select the Ffx object source helper. Select the Modify tab and click on the Pick Object button. Select the wire object in the scene. This will be the flame source. Select the grid and open the Ffx user interface. Go to the Object Source tab. Click the Pick button and select the Ffx object source. We only want to render fire, so we need to disable the smoke channel. Go to the Simulation tab and disable smoke. Disable it also in the Rendering tab. Take a look at the output path. We'll use this path later. Set the spacing value to 0.5. OK for now. Let's start the simulation. Zoom in and look at the flame. As a first observation, we see that the fire is produced from the entire wire object. We only need the top part of this object to produce fire. To do this we'll need a black and white gradient map. Open the material editor and create a gradient map. Set the color 1 to white, color 2 to black and color 3 to black. Set color 2 position to 0.6. Go to the output rollout and increase the RGB level value. Set it to a value around 3. Now go to the Ffx UI. Select the object source, and from the fuel rollout map parameter, enable source from intensity. Then drag the gradient map from the material editor in the map slot, as an instance. Play the simulation to see the changes. Now the flame starts from the top of the wire. Adjust a little bit the color to position, and you're done. Okay. Now we have to shape the flame to make it less turbulent, and to look more like the real thing. We'll start by changing the color. On the Rendering tab, go to the Fire rollout. Right-click the color and select Key Mode. Change the color to a desaturated yellow, or load a gradient file provided to you in the project file folder. Select candlegradient.agt from the hard disk. Select the Simulation tab. Here we'll have to change some parameters. We'll do this by looking at some reference, so we'll reduce the number of tries we'll have to make to give the flame a nice shape. For reference, go to the Ffx Properties article on community.ro. The gravity doesn't influence in a visible manner the flame, so we'll leave it to 1. For the buoyancy value, I'll use a value greater than 1.5, because I want the flame to rise a bit above the wire, but not so much. Set the buoyancy to 4. The vorticity has by default the value 0.5. We need a value between 0 and 0.5. We don't want the flame to be very turbulent. I'll set the vorticity to 0.4. For the velocity damping value, I'll choose a value around 0.5. 0 means no damping at all and 1 means full damping. I'll set it to 0.4. For the burn rate value, I think we should use a value between 30 and 60. I'll set it to 50. The heat production value doesn't influence the flame shape, but however I'll set it to 30. And now the last parameter. Expansion. This will give the real shape of the flame. We have to use a value greater than 1, so the flame will have more volume. I'll set it to 4, but you can set it to 3 or 5 to see the difference. Run the simulation, then render to see the final flame shape. If you play the animation from the start, you will see that the flame is not burning at frame 0. I want the flame to burn from the start. To do that, we'll have to start the simulation with loaded initial state. Click the Start Simulation with Loaded Initial State button, and browse to the output path. Select the FDC file, and click Open. Now the flame burns from start to finish of the animation. We are almost done. We have to open the Render Settings dialog and adjust some parameters. Use indirect illumination, and increase the number of ray bounces for better quality. We also have to add some lights, and that's about it. I hope it was useful. Thanks for watching. Visit www.community.ro for more.